it is mainly built in the same method of what the actual Rahat means. Like, I mean, I don't really mind about the age. Like everyone says age is just a curricular achievements or anything to show for. Aryan, you are from the COVID batch. You guys are not going to get jobs, might as well study well.
Hi everybody, welcome back to the channel. It's me Hasini Lakshmanarayanan here. Welcome back. If you're new here, this is the First Step YouTube channel wherein I get to interview young achievers, that is children who had achieved at a young age. The First Step is in association with the CIT, Chennai Institute of Technologies, number 2 Engineering College in Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India, and now, just to give a short introduction about me, I am Hasini Lakshmanarayanan, an 8th grader, 13-year-old, a teenager, studying in Chettinad Vidyashram, Chennai, Tamil Nadu, India. I am the founder of the First Step YouTube channel and a non-profit organization called the First Step, wherein we aim and vision to inspire and motivate other children to initiate their first step at a young age. And also, apart from this, I'm a TED speaker, and I also run a blog page. And as well, I write for the Hindu School edition. And now, without further delay, let's welcome our guest for the day, Aryan Khanna. He's a 15-year-old public speaker, a content creator, and a producer. He is a writer, also chief operating officer, founder, executive director, and he is the chief operating officer and head of content creations and editor-in-chief of the Grow projects. He's a founder of Rahat. I am so much curious to interact with him, as like I believe you are as well. So without further delay, let's welcome him, shall we? Hi.
Hello.
Yeah, thank you so much for accepting the invitation. And without further delay, I am very curious, to interact and have a chat with you. So, and I hope the people are as well. So let's get to it. What role do you play being the chief operating officer and the editor-in-chief of the organization, the Grow Projects? Yeah, that would be my very first question.
Okay. So, firstly, a small explanation about what the Grow project is. So, basically, here at the Grow project, right, our main aim is in our slogan, grow mentally, physically, and financially. So, we are basically a student run media production organization, and we make articles, blogs, podcasts, a lot of stuff pertaining to the two fields of finance and self discipline. The main thing that we feel makes us slightly different from other organizations is that mainly like the management and the core and everything is mainly run by teens, and it is for teens. So the like major issues like procrastination, maintaining self-discipline, dealing with stress, learning about many finance topics like Bitcoin, like cryptocurrency, and about whether to invest in them or not. Like we have learned these lessons ourselves quite recently, and then like we try to write articles on the same to inform our viewers about the same, which I felt really made them strike a special chord with us. So obviously, due to the rapid growth of the organization to over like 10 departments really quickly, you can obviously assume that the chief operating officer or the CEO and all the C executives might have a lot of work. But truth be told, we just have around like 1 or 2 hours of work. Basically, we have a set, defined set of functions, which is mentioned in like huge sheets, which we get at the start of every day with our tasks, and we are supposed to complete them. So basically, chief operating officer, right, as you might have guessed, is administrative. Like mainly my tasks are like, the CEO has some ideas, he gets some ideas and he gives it to me. And my job is basically like, figure out like small, tiny points which we can do like in a row to try and implement it. So that is my major job. But at the same time, I also accompany the CEO or like replace for the CEO if there's like an important meeting. And then in case the CEO isn't able to attend, or if it's really, really important, I'll take notes, I'll make a tidy report, I'll send it to him. Weekly progress of all the departments is maintained by me alongside human resources, so that we can, inform the CEO and update him on what's done and what's not, so that, we can make a predefined plan for the next week. And obviously, like that is mainly some of the tasks which I do as COO. Now, editor-in-chief is basically the same as a head of content creation and curation. Okay, so editor-in-chief is also like the head of the editors. So basically what I do as editor-in-chief is like after my team is done editing all the articles, blogs, podcasts, and other stuff we like post every week, like I'll just have a look over it and I will ensure that there's nothing left. I'll collaborate with the writers in case there's something left to get it done. And again, that already comes in my job as head of content creation and curation, like for the tweets we send out every Tuesday, like the small movie recommendation every Sunday, like. And then obviously I am responsible for coming up with new content or ways to streamline existing ones. So that's a basic analogy of what I do.
Great initiative again, and yeah, good to know about it, and this sounds very interesting, and yeah, way more to go, and I'm very happy to know about it. So now let's talk about your own initiative, Rahat, right? So yeah, tell us about that. I mean, what made you start the initiative? Tell us about the initiative itself. How does it function? Yeah.
Sure. So basically, right, Rahat is a Hindi word which stands for comfort. So what we do in Rahat is like, it is mainly built in the same method of what the actual Rahat means. Like, if for example it's like a cold winter day, and if someone like hands you a blanket if you're shivering or feeling cold, and you will say ki I have gotten Rahat, yeah, I've gotten comfort, I feel comfortable now. And that was the frame of thinking of me and my associates while we were building this non-profit. Like, how can we provide Rahat to more people, and how can we do it upon a larger scale? So Rahat is basically a non-profit to combat global issues. We raise funds to combat global issues, which is, global issues change on a rate, like it's day-to-day scale almost. Like currently we are fighting against COVID-19 in India, the pandemic spreading in India, and we are raising funds for the same. So what we not only raise funds though, like obviously Rahat is a collaboration between Grow and a team of website designers called Fibrux. So what we do here is like we also publish some media pertaining to COVID-19, so that we can raise awareness amongst the people of how like dangerous COVID-19 is, and like how much their funds can make a difference. And obviously all the money that we earn is directly straight up transferred from our website to Give India fundraisers, which is the largest and most trusted fundraisers in India for raising money against COVID-19. And we regularly change it. Like now it's on COVID-19, and we are planning, like after the pandemic gets slightly lesser in India, we're planning to switch it to something else, some more pressing global issue. And this time we are like just going to switch it across the world. It's not just for India. So that we can bring about change on a global scale.
Right, amazing. Now a question pops out in my mind, like immediately on the answer. Why did you want to change, especially global issues, and bringing in change in the society or the economy, the environment? Because I hope you're only 14 or 15, right?
15, yeah.
Sorry for that. Right, as being only 15, why did you want to take an initiative to work on this particular, subject or field, if I have to call it particular?
Okay, so basically, right, I mean, I don't really mind about the age. Like everyone says age is just a number. That might actually be true with respect to many people I see around the world today. Many young people achieving great things. Many old people also achieving really incredible things, which is obviously proving that age is just a number. And like the fact is, like bringing change upon a global scale was initially not just the only thing which I was thinking about. In fact, it wasn't even in the top 3 things I was thinking about at the time of starting Rahat. Rahat was basically built to provide a hand of comfort to many people, and it gradually grew into around the world. That around the world was added at the end when we decided, let's make it global. Why not? We are already working so hard on it. Let's bring about change in a way which, we can all be proud of what we have accomplished. And the main fact here that we really remembered here is that, Rahat is a hand of comfort, and we believe that a hand of comfort, when extended globally, can save many more lives. Because even in India is also facing a lot of pressing problems, and India has got a population in billions. But I mean, in the world also, there are so many problems which are being faced by so many people, like debts, and then you're like having many different things to be paid, earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, like every month or every day you will have something in the news. And that is the reason, like, I thought, why not just take it to a larger scale, take it globally, so that we can bring about awareness. Rahat is more than just a non-profit for earning money, right? We also bring about awareness regarding the global issues, so that we know when we reach when we are trying to increase our reach now, but once we reach a wider audience, it would have a huge effect because of like the awareness being spread through those articles, blogs, media posts. And directly and indirectly we are relating it to Grow, and Fibrux is doing the best too to try and bring Rahat wide into a wider scale.
It's great initiative, and see, of course, when I was like, back in 2019 or something, I never visioned for to be in such a position, right? Like being an entrepreneur now, or being a public speaker now, being on social media, or the same way. I guess it happens to you as well, because it happens in every person's life whom I have interviewed possibly. And it's surprising the fact that you wish it for something like unique, in if I can mention. So yeah, hats off for that. And now, being a public speaker, what I vision for is to inspire children. That is what my motto has also been. So what do you vision for being a public speaker, and if you can talk about the various platforms or where you've been and talked. So yeah, that would be my next question.
Okay, so this may actually sound kind of counterproductive, but basically in 2020, right, up till 2020, I was almost a pure academic, and I had like no extracurricular achievements or anything to show for, like anything that I had personally worked on and that I had been dedicated to. And by that point, I realized that studies was not just studies. Earlier, I had thought was my passion, like that is something I'm good at. But then I realized studying was just gradually becoming a thing I just felt like I had to do, and there was nothing else to distract me from the monotony. And at that point I thought, let's just do something new. And that was basically, if I could call it, my first step. That what we could do is, let's just leave all our self-limiting restrictions at the door. You have seen like many people have achieved so much stuff in their life, and they've achieved it over a span of many years, and they are like national debate champions, national orchestra champions, and they've done a lot of things. Why don't you just leave the limiting belief that you can't do anything, and for 1 year work on your passions and see where it takes you. And now that 1 year passes, in say, I think it passes tomorrow, so then the fact is that compare me then to compare me now, there is quite a huge difference. And that is mainly the one thing which motivates me into public speaking. There is this terminology that here you can become a change maker, but not many people know what a change maker actually means. Change maker is basically someone who wants to bring about a change, and he uses his skills or her skills to bring about that particular change. And the one change I want to bring about in people is remove your self-limiting, restricting beliefs and everything, and just go and work on your passions. Give it half an hour a day, 1 hour a day, but you just work on it. You forget about everything else, forget about whether it will happen or not. And ultimately, in 1 year, if someone like me with absolutely zero progress can actually do something which he can celebrate or I can be proud of every time it comes up, then obviously you might already have skills which you might not even know of. And that is what I decided, like I wish to use my public speaking thing for. That is what I wanted to use it.
Again, great. Of course, people would have different mindset, but being a public speaker is like one thing which is common and unique in all of us is that, I hope it is. If not, let me know. Like, we tend to do something not only for ourselves, but for us to learn something better. And of course, I too started off public speaking with zero expectations, but I started off with, way back, like when I was young. But today I didn't know that it could create such an impact. It was just like a talent which I didn't even know existed in me. But today it has, and I'm really happy that I can acknowledge it finally. So yeah, and happy that you do it. And now I would want to, I did, but I would want the people to know about your journey of becoming a young entrepreneur, public speaker, a social media influencer, And yeah, if I can keep naming on. So yeah.
See, basically, I wouldn't call myself a public speaker or an entrepreneur or a social media influencer. But the fact still is like, nobody thinks of themselves like they are particularly getting a skill done well. But at the same point, because these skills are so variable, like there was one thing which my teacher at our Gabble Club in school, which is a subordinate of Toastmasters International, told us, like, you can never be the best at public speaking. Okay, just take it in your mind. Like, there is a dream ki, hey, I will complete this much, I'll become the best, I will leave, and I will stay the best. There's no such thing. There is always going to be someone better than you, always. And there'll be some people like who will be slightly below you, and the people below you will look up to you, and you will look up to the person above you, and it's just a continuous stream of inspiration coming along the way. And there's never a thing as the best. If you feel like you're the best, you need to maybe go try a harder class, or maybe you need to go try something more difficult. So basically what happened is, obviously public speaking, I mainly got into it because there was one English teacher in our school who mainly thought ki, hey, maybe I should recommend him for public speaking. He's a 7th grader, which till today no 7th grader has ever joined our club. It is only open from 8th grade onwards. But by a stroke of luck, she decided to recommend me and just wait for an application to come in, and somehow I got joined. And the next day she was like, hey Aryan, I have recommended you for a club and you can go there. And I literally didn't know anything about public speaking. I didn't know what to do. I just stood there awkwardly, and then they told me, hey, you have to give your speech today. And that was like the calling. And I don't know how I did that day, because I like to forget everything which I don't want to remember, basically. So I forgot about it. But in the end, like, the fact still is like, it did get me a drive to, improve myself steadily, because you need motivation, external and internal, to improve. And the club does give me that motivation every day. Like, we have a mentality ki no speaker is bad. So whenever a new speaker comes in, even if they just stand there on the stage very still, they don't say anything, we just clap for them, always. And that has become a rule. Like, whenever a speaker goes up to the stage, we clap. When they give their speech, we clap. If they can't speak, we clap. If they get down from the stage, we clap. And it's like a tradition at this point. Like, you have to clap for them regardless of whether they did well or not, so that they'll be motivated to learn. Similarly, my co-workers, everyone in the Grow project and Rahat and in the Paw Prince Foundation, they are like really, really nice people. They always like motivate me to, give my best continuously. And whenever I think that way, it goes back to the time where I learned why to clap. And that is the reason, like, that is why I feel like, this is really, really important at this point, to be a public speaker.
Right, true. And yeah, again, an amazing and insightful journey to hear. And as you mentioned, right, I mean, that fact is actually true. There are many more interesting facts about public speaking. You clap for a person no matter what, just to motivate them. And yeah, it's definitely true. It shows that your respect and your attention to what a person is doing, which particularly I think is necessary, and sometimes maybe not, but maybe yes. So yeah, with that note, let's go on to the next question probably. So yeah, you have been an intern for few associations by now. So yeah, if you can tell us, how did internship help you to improve your skills, and how do you think internships might help other people and as well to improve their skills?
Okay, so basically for an internship, right? An internship is where, like, it is a chance to improve upon your skills. And since you're not getting paid, and you don't have like a very, very strict boss, like, hey, if you do this, then I'll get you a salary. If you do this at my level, or if you do it like well, I'll get you a salary, or there is no salary involved at this point. So you don't have to worry about the exchange of money so far, which some people do believe is unfair. But I'm going to maintain an unbiased opinion on this. Like, if you are learning skills, whether you get a salary or not, internships is still good, because you are not worried about making that many mistakes. You've got like your co-workers to help you who are in the same department as you. You've got your heads who are always seeming more approachable than at a job. You cannot just barge into your boss's office and be like, hey boss, I need a raise, or hey boss, I want this work done. But at an internship, you can just go and like, you can text the boss, because the boss at an internship is a boss, but At the same time, he is also there to he or she is also there to maintain a perfect learning atmosphere, right? That is the reason internships, you can learn more, or you can learn a lot. Like, I have actually been at 2 internships. There is this internship by Stentorians, Voices of Change, and it is kind of like it is an organization which publishes content and allows people to express their views on topics. Like, you can express your views on topics which are usually like not talked about in today's world, like LGBTQIA, or like colorism in India, and some topics like that. Or you can also like talk about, you can write your own stories, your books, you can like send anything you want to Stentorians, and they will publish it on their blog for it to gain a wider impact. And that is one thing which I really, really liked about them. Like, their internship involved us writing 3 articles. We had colorism in the Indian subcontinent, LGBTQIA and its history, and we had one about mental health and its taboo nature in Asia. And those 3 topics, I had never written an article that way. I was still a really, really new writer. So like, I went on, I researched, I used Google Scholar, I tried to find articles which I could, use as reference so that I can figure out a bit about how to write. But regardless, well, I couldn't write an article on those 3 topics, and I eventually failed in that task. But that was what inspired a drive in me to, do better and actually eventually learn how to write an article on many topics, regardless of whether it's a research or it's a non-research. Similarly, for the Polit India, as a voiceover artist for like a really, really, it is actually a really, really high level organization. It has got an HR department, it's got a lot of departments, it's pretty huge. Around 600,000 people across the world have been reached. So there, just as a voiceover artist, also taught me a lot. Like, I learned how to control my voice, modulate my voice, and that led back to my public speaking. So yes, internships do teach a lot.
But yeah, I mean, those personal experiences, were insightful to hear. But apart from that, yeah, I would want to add my own thoughts in here as well,
Sure.
if people doesn't mind. So yeah, internships does really help you. Like, it's always better to learn from an experienced person when you're going to start off. Like, for example, let's say public speaking in as well. You'd want to learn from a lot of certified speakers or speakers who are recognized or speakers who've done a lot of sessions in order to gain some knowledge, and you would probably learn a lot which you thought they never even existed, which is one good thing about internships, if I can say. So yeah, the conclusion for this answer would be internships definitely does help you a lot and improving your skills, right?
Yep.
That makes no sense, but still, yeah. Let's just move on probably. So yeah, one more other question which I have is like me, the other people around, everybody right now knows you as Aryan Khanna, who's a public speaker, who's an entrepreneur, the founder of Rahat. As a social influencer and as a writer and as well. But who is Aryan in person? Like, what are your other interests apart from all of these? You do have school to manage, you have your boards to write. So yeah.
I'm actually one of the lucky batches that got their boards cancelled. And
Corona, bad.
no, it is. Believe me. Like, my father has been like taunting me for the past, let's just say, 6 months now. Aryan, you are from the COVID batch. You guys are not going to get jobs. Might as well study while it's still worth it. Aryan, you guys are not going to get into college. You don't have board marks. Aryan, you're probably going to flunk anyways. So that has already been something which has been talked about a lot. And that actually inspires a lot of worry amongst a lot of people. But back to the question, for who I am without the entrepreneurship or the hobbies, well, basically I do play quite some sports. I really, really love swimming. I've been swimming every summer since I was about 6 years old. Recently for like the last 1 or 2 years, I haven't been able to swim, but like I've been swimming every year since the time I was 6 years old, and every year I try to learn a new stroke. Like, 1 year I learned how to swim, 1 year I learned like what to do when you're drowning, like the breaststroke, freestyling, like everything. I also participated in quite a few competitions for swimming, and I won first place in a couple of them, and it was a district level contest. In the others, I did manage to win a few prizes here and there. Apart from that, I do love writing, and I also like lawn tennis, which is another sport could be considered. I have been learning lawn tennis for like around 4 or 5 years now since I moved to Chennai, and lawn tennis is really fun for me, as you know, you can just let loose and you can carry the bat. After some time, right, the racket becomes a part of your own hand and you can't feel it anymore. And that sort of thing, for some reason, that really makes me crack up whenever I pick up a racket and I can't feel it. But yes, it's kind of, I know that doesn't make sense, but at the same time, you know, I have a great instructor here, and he has taught me a lot of tennis, and he does teach a lot of people. So I've been learning tennis due to that. I
Great.
do want to try fishing though. I haven't tried fishing yet. I just want to try it.
Yeah, great. Again, I mean, getting your mind onto different things is always interesting, which I personally like. I'd always want to try new things and
Yeah.
I mean, explore new stuff, if that is the right word I can say.
Yeah.
So yeah, one more other question which I had to ask is like, who inspired you to do so? That would be my question.
Actually, like inspiration, right? There are, you know, I personally believe like the 2 or 3 types of people who can inspire you. Like there is one which is the like I can just call them the high inspirers, like the people who have accomplished a lot, and you know, you look at them and you get inspired, like self-development coaches like Gary Vee, or you know, the Jocko Willink, and such people, like they inspire quite a lot of the youth nowadays, as they are all self-development coaches and they have podcasts with influential people. Like Ranveer, like Beer Biceps, he also hosts a self-development podcast, and he runs a media production company. So in that, like I just said, Ranveer, Jocko Willink, and if I'm correct, the third person for me, it might be Thomas Frank as my high inspirations. Medium inspirations are the people whom are the people who you aspire to work with, or like the people who are at a higher level than you, but they are easily approachable. So for me, that is where, funnily enough, I think the 3 people that would come for me in there is, first of all, it would be Riyad, it would be Arnay, and if you don't mind me saying, it would be you, but I'm not going to. That those are the 3 people in my medium inspiration list. You guys inspire me a lot. And in the low inspiration list, that is the people whom I directly work with. Don't tell them I said that. Roman, who is my CEO, he works really hard. He doesn't study, but he works really hard. That's the fact. He has dedicated his life and soul to the company. At this point, criticizing, we appreciate criticism and everything, but and we instantly work on it. But the fact is, like, you know, it feels, he has often told me in our conversations, like the company is like a child to me. I didn't understand what he meant, but now I do. You know, after you rear a company from the beginning and you like take it up, you work really hard. You work sleepless nights with like jugs of coffee, furiously, you know, typing out reports, or like working with executives, or you, at that point of time, right, you realize how much work it actually takes into growing a company. And then at that point, it actually becomes like your child, because it requires a lot of love and care. And when you give it to it, you feel as proud of it as if it were actually your child. So yeah, Roman, Abbas, who is our media team HOD, and strangely, all of the other C-level executives as well. Ronit for his good vibes, because he's really polite. You call him at 2 a.m. in the night, he will be polite. That is something which I wish to accomplish. You call me at 2 a.m. in the night, all you're going to get is a few grunts and a mute. But yeah, he is really kind.
What's so cool, and thanks for mentioning me in as well. And yeah, if you do know, I was about to say it, you very much sound like Arnay. You kind of look like Arnay as well. But yeah, I mean, you sound like Arnay. Like, he speaks the way that, you know, he's very much connected to people. He has this eye contact in which, you know, he looks at the person talking, he's very comfortable speaking as like you are. And yeah, again, Riyad's amazing personality. And thanks for mentioning me. I mean, that was totally unexpected. I was expecting for Mansi, if you didn't know, because she's also a
Mansi is
writer.
a STEM researcher, right? Yeah, and a writer.
Yes, and yeah, she's an author of books. But yeah, apart from that, and guys, people watching, if you do want to check out their videos, we'll try to link them down below in the descriptions. Just a quick promotion. I'm sorry, it's my own channel. Anyway,
Sure.
yeah. So yeah, again, amazing. And talking about your top priorities, everybody does have an inspiration on them. Again, even I do. So yeah, great again, and good luck to all of your team who are, in, as you mentioned about those three people. So yeah, once again, amazing. And one last question, and then we can probably wind up for today. So yeah, this question would be about your future plans and also involving what is the one thing you would want to change in this society and why?
So the one thing which I would like to change in the society, mainly this may sound like again a widespread thing, but like most of the things I've said today are quite wide rules. So I will just add this in. Is like, there are some people who keep quite narrow-minded beliefs. Like it is still prevalent in a lot of Indian society. Like we spoke about LGBTQIA, we spoke about colorism, we spoke about mental health, and some section of the population that believe like such things don't exist or they aren't possible, or if you just ignore them they'll go away. And the same goes for people who are like trying to be a better version of themselves. Like a person is he has failed once and he's trying to become better at something. And then at the same time the worst thing which I have heard, I have personally talked to a lot of friends and I've talked to many people directly, and the first thing I hear is, hey, I've been trying to get better, I've been trying to work hard, but at the same time all my friends, my relatives, my family, they all like criticize my efforts. They all say like it is not possible, like I have failed once, it's like I have failed like every single time, like, and that way like they are not even motivated to work hard, and then they fail again and they get the same amount, but they get the same amount of teasing and catcalling. So that's the main thing I would like to do, like tell everyone that failing once isn't actually equal to not being able to pass at all. Not being able to pass at all and failing at one thing are completely different. Not being able to pass is not possible because you're basically telling everyone there is no way I'll pass, which that in no way is it possible. You practice, you'll pass, you hard work, you'll pass, and if you have a stroke of luck, you will pass. While not passing is just that on your part to acing something, you accidentally missed some small step and you fell on the side, and that's why you didn't pass. If you do it again, you might this time make the part correctly and you might pass. I have personally never been good at maths or chemistry. I'm still scared of those subjects. But it's all about the practice. This is what even my chemistry teacher told me. Hey, no matter the amount of times you believe you're going to fail, you believe you're scared of the sums, the only reason you are scared is because you decided to be scared. You decided that if there is no way I can pass, might as well, like just blame the sums. Your brain does that without even telling you at this point. And that is the reason you won't be able to pass. But if you change your mentality, and that changed my perception. I'm like, I thought, okay, she said you won't be able to pass, that means I won't be able to pass. But then she added that but if you change your mentality, and that thing is what I want to spread awareness about, that the word but is always there in everything that is around us. There is no sentence or any issue without a but, without like one thing which can save the day, so to say, or complete, like not get rid of the issue, but figure out a way in which we can take care of the people affected by that issue, or like accept the people affected by that issue and help them. So that is the main message I wanted to spread.
Amazing. Like I always say, if you do know or if not, there are no failures, only feedback. It isn't necessarily a failure. Instead, it is a feedback. Take it as a new learning. Of course, whenever you fail, you tend to learn something. So just don't stop that. Just don't anyone stop. Any source let you stop, and that insecurity let you stop, which change your mind totally. That you aren't fit for in this job. Just have the confidence. But once you start failing miserably, of course you will get it, and you get used to it by that point. And okay, it's just and again it went down, and automatically you'll get used up. So it's just a common thing which everybody would fail in to agree in the very initial stages. But yeah, of course, life is there to teach us in every possible way. Good. So yeah, that with that note, I guess we can sign off for today. Thank you so much for accepting the invitation and sharing your thoughts and your journey. And way more to go. Wish the best for your success. And
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure to be here and an honor to to be invited. Thank you.
Yeah, to the people watching this, if you like this video and find it interesting and insightful to hear, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And also comment down below if you do have any suggestions for me. And for further updates, please don't forget to turn on your post notifications from the First Step channel. And also, guys, please do support the blog as well, which we mentioned down below, and support our new series, The World of Seven Lives. And that would be it. Signing off, it's Aryan and Hasani here. I'll see you next week. Tada, bye bye.